Proper preparation prevents poor performance. Alright guys, so today is Friday and track day today, but I think they might cancel it because as you can see we got some crappy weather rolling in and it's supposed to start raining basically right after the track opens. So it might not even be worth going, but if it does open, I'm taking the tires to the tire place and I'm going to have the new tires put on the rims just in case. So I was going to go through and try to cobble some stuff together to get the new turbo on the truck today, but instead of doing that I decided I just was gonna try to do it as right as I could and just ordered new stuff. So I ordered material for a new downpipe, new V-band, O2 sensor bung, wastegate dump V-band, stuff like that. So instead of trying to use the parts that I have, cutting those up and then making it work, I just ordered all new stuff, kind of late, didn't really prepare for it, so that's why I said proper preparation prevents poor performance, because I didn't really, I don't know, I guess I just didn't really think about it as much as I could have. So we're going to do a couple things today, bring these tires in, and I'm going to plan on working on the car instead of the truck today, but if the track does open and it doesn't rain, I might still go with the truck and then just work on like my 60-foot time and launching the truck and just do 8th mile passes. So that's what we're doing. Okay, so we got the new tires mounted. They look pretty good. So today I'm working on transmission fluid. I drained some transmission fluid. This is some old stuff, and then I ended up draining like 2 quarts out because it was pretty full. I'm going to be working on replacing the valve cover gaskets because I'm getting a lot of oil like leaking back here to to the point where I won't even park it in my driveway. It's leaking so much. I redid a little PCV system, so I do have a little check valve in here for when it comes into boost, and it's pulling vacuum through there. So hopefully that's going to help my leaking issue, and I'm going to replace the valve cover gaskets and we'll go from there. But unfortunately, when I was just going to tighten the oil pan bolts, I don't think it's leaking from the pan because it's coming up from a lot higher. So I went to tighten the bolt and I snapped the frickin' bolt off. But luckily it's not broke off in the block. It looks like will be sticking out of the block a little bit. So worst case I can just drop the pan and then put a different bolt in there. But that really sucked. It was the first one that I tried to tighten and it snapped it right off. So if we look at this gasket on the valve cover, you can see like this is the front on the bottom, and there's not really much oil on that gasket. But if we come over towards the back on the bottom side, you can see it's starting to get wet here. In this whole section, you can see this little dimple there, and then the whole thing is like wet, soaked in oil all the way around the back. See it all dripping, hanging on the bottom, so I'm pretty sure it's just leaking from there. I know it's coming from up here because it's on the outside of the starter and it's on the bottom of like the bell housing of the transmission, so I know it's coming from up higher and not the oil pan. This is like one of those things that I've just been putting off for a while because I just don't really feel like doing it, but then when you actually get started on it, it only takes you like 12 minutes to do it. And then you're just kicking yourself in the head for why you haven't done it sooner. I guess in my head I see like, okay, I'm gonna take all this stuff apart, and it's really not that much stuff. You just unhook this, it's 2 bolts. Unhook this. I'll try to delay this gently so I'm not smashing my plug wires. Well, so it literally takes like a minute to get to the freaking gasket, but I've been putting it off for like a month. I've even had the gaskets for a while. I put off ordering them, and then I ordered them like 3 weeks ago, and they've just been sitting here. So yeah, you can see on the bottom of that side, same thing. It's all soaked. It's just wet, completely wet. Okay, so new gaskets in. I think it's kind of amazing how much of a difference there is. This one's like really tall, round. The other one was squished and flat, but the other gasket had 300,000 miles on it. That was from the original engine still, so 333,000 plus whatever I put on it. Okay, now that the valve cover gaskets are done, I'm going to work on switching my wheels around. So these are the wheels that I took off of the Explorer. So the front Ranger wheels were camber worn on the inside, so they weren't I didn't feel like good go fast tires, so I took these wheels off the Explorer and put them on here. This is what I have been racing with at the track. So then I found this the other day. I was hearing a weird crunching noise as I was pulling into my driveway, and when I was at full lock. So look at this thing. This thing is a very, very deep groove all the way around, and that crunching noise I was hearing was this weight hitting the control arm. You can actually see the rim is hitting the control arm at full lock. So the offset's different from the newer Explorer. Same bolt pattern, but definitely not good. It's actually rubbing right there. So these are not good 120 mile an hour tires. So I'm going to put these back on the Explorer. I'm going to put the camber worn tires back on the back of the truck. And I'm going to put these good tires on the front. So those are going back on the Explorer, these are going on the front, and then the other ones with the camber wear are going to go in the back because I take them off at the track and I won't use them. And this tread pattern looks pretty good yet. Well guys, we finally got the rain. I was going to go out and make a driving video, but this is all we got. You can't even see it. I'll make it smaller. Sad face. It's raining. It means I'm going to have to mow my lawn one of these days. Well, here's the aftermath of when I was draining the fluid. This was, you're supposed to check it when it was hot, so it was full, and I was just taking the drain plug off the bottom and draining some of it, and it was kind of spilling all over, and it was a little warm when it got in my hand, but didn't lose too much on the floor. I ended up pulling, like I said, over 2 quarts out, and I'm happy, pleasantly surprised and happy that it's, I guess not surprised, but happy that it's still a nice pink color. I think the transmission's supposed to be like 12 or 14 quarts or something, and then I just went to write what it's recommended for. I just dumped it all in instead of doing like 12 and then checking it and putting a little bit more in and checking it till it was full. I just dumped it all in. The torque converter is a lot smaller than a factory torque converter, and I think that's where the extra fluid came from, but I wasn't having any issues with it. I just noticed there was a spot of transmission fluid underneath the truck the other day. I got it really hot when I was driving it because I was driving it for a really long time and it was pretty warm, and parked it, and the next day there was like a puddle of fluid. So it was like hot, expanded, leaking somewhere. So that's when I was like, well, I'm gonna pull some out of it. Okay, so let's have a little chit chat. I don't really know what I'm going to talk about, but I'm going to talk about something. So, I guess plans for tomorrow. I want to start working on the oil pan and stuff because I got the engine mounted now, and the rest is pretty much doing like exhaust and oil pan. That'll be the big one. I think what I'm going to do for starters is I'm going to modify the truck manifolds, do the little chop and weld deal, and then just run the exhaust straight back. And I might try to save them or make them in a way that I can make the turbo manifold. But I was also looking the other day at making like an entire stainless manifold. So I want to practice with the TIG welder and get a little better with the stainless, or start doing stainless. I haven't done it yet. I've done a little bit of mild steel, but haven't done any stainless yet. So that's one option that I might do when I build the actual turbo manifolds for the car, but that may be later or over winter. I might just do the truck manifold job just to get it done, because I want to get this thing driving pretty soon and still try to maybe enjoy it a little bit this year. So that would buy me some time then to practice with the welder and build my confidence with it and actually try to build a full set of manifolds, like just straight from a flange and build pieces together. So that might be kind of fun. I have been practicing a little bit off camera with aluminum and with the mild steel. I did talk to Eastwood. Eastwood is sending me a new foot pedal. So I've been talking back and forth with them, like basically since my first welding video, like with the TIG welder. I've been talking back and forth with them, and it got to a point where they said they were going to send me an entire new welder. So my response to that was, do you think we should try a new foot pedal first instead of a whole new welder? Because I really don't want to pack the whole thing up and ship it back. And it works fine. It's just seems like the foot pedal's not working. So in my mind, it would make sense to try the foot pedal first. So they're sending me a foot pedal, a different foot pedal, and that should be here. They already shipped it. It should be here in a day or two. So I've just been practicing with, the foot pedal still turns it on. It just doesn't regulate or control the amperage. So it still works just fine. That's kind of one of the reasons, like I said in the other video, that I didn't use the TIG welder on the engine mounts. I just want to practice on some just flat stock and practice, you know, with the joints and stuff before I actually try to do something that's important, which hopefully that makes sense to you guys. Oil pan. I might have cut the oil pan a little bit too short. I have to fit it, but I think the windage tray actually goes below where I cut. So I might have to angle it down, but we'll see. I might try that one. I still have, you know, another pan, but again, because Cooper sent me an extra pan, so that's awesome. So trial and error, and big thanks again for that. What else did I do today? So I basically did the transmission fluid, took that out because that was leaking. I was having leaks with the oil, and it's like just enough to be annoying, and I was going under like every couple days and like wiping some of the stuff off because I don't want it to drip in the road, or I'm not even parking it in the driveway. I know it was coming from the valve cover gaskets, like I said, because it's dripping down the outside of the bell housing and it's really high on the block, and I can actually feel where it's coming from. And yeah, just enough to be annoying, and I'd like to catch it early enough and try to get it to a point where I can just park it in the garage or park it in the driveway over winter. Garage I don't care about, but driveway I don't really want the oil there. So those new gaskets should help. Yes. So one of the other things that I have to do yet that I haven't done is work on the transmission for the Explorer. I bought the Explorer a while back for $300. Some of you guys remember that. The transmission has some shifting issues, but I've been driving the thing for like 4 months now. I think it's 4 months. I've just been driving it, like driving it to work. I drove it today to go get the tires done, and I even drove it like 4 hours to go pick up tires that one time. So it's, for a $300 truck, with a bad transmission, it does pretty well. I just been accelerating. I'll get it to like 15, 18 miles an hour in first gear, lift a little bit, and then it shifts, and then it's fine after that. So I'm gonna do the valve body gasket and the solenoid pack. I might even try to work on that tonight, but I'll make that into a separate video. Just a lot of stuff going on, guys. A lot of stuff. Truck, car, kids, family, garage. Keeps getting messy somehow. It's like I'm working on stuff all the time or something. Maybe. I didn't make it to the track tonight. It was a weird day because it was raining, it was not raining, and then we just got nailed with rain, so at about 7 o'clock, so I was kind of taking a chance on going there and even being able to race. It was kind of a weird feeling for me, like I wanted to go, but I didn't want to go. I want to go when I put the new turbo on for sure, but I was just going to go and try to do 8th mile and work on the launching. So that's why I went out to go drive today, because I wanted to drive around after the new gaskets were on and, you know, try to build some crankcase pressure and stuff and see if it's going to leak again. And I also wanted to test the trans brake and practice launching with that because I didn't do it at the track today. But I was able to build over 4 pounds of boost with stock tires and in the rain with the trans brake mod with the button. So it was like 4.5 pounds. So that's pretty good, I think, for street tires in the rain. So I should be able to build well over 4 pounds with the slicks on, you know, some sticky ground. So that's exciting. I really want to work on the launch, so that's how I was going to go today. And just do 1/8 mile and see if I can get closer to the 7-second 1/8 mile.
Deep in thought, now you're trying. You want to help Dad? Okay. Action.
All of a sudden you just have kids everywhere. I did do a little test fit with the slicks, the new slicks on the truck. They look pretty good. The other ones kind of looked a little small with the 28s. Now these are 29.5, so they actually look pretty decent because they're close to the factory diameter. So they look pretty good and they're a 1/2 inch wider. So kind of excited to see what I can do with those. Gonna do the new turbo, like I said, 100 times. I think I'm gonna do a full exhaust with the turbo though, or at least do my glass packs. I had this idea with the 4-inch to do a 4-inch to a split to 2.5 inch glass packs. So I think I might just do the 3-inch, split it down to the 2 and call it a day, because driving around in that truck, it drones so much and it's not pleasant driving it around. So if I'm driving around like for a while tuning and everything, it's annoying. I got, like I said, all the material to do that sitting around, and I think I'm gonna go as far as enabling the fuel trimming with closed loop. So I want to be able to just drive that thing, like get in it and drive it, which I've been doing that lately a lot too. And it just works. It just works. I get in and I drive it and it goes, and it leaks a little bit, but I'm getting more comfortable with it, except for the fact that it's showing low oil pressure now. So I don't know if it's because it's rich and it's thinning out the oil, or if that sensor is off, but after one of the track days, it started showing low oil pressure when it's warm. So I'm kind of concerned about that, because it did have that spun bearing in it, the cam bearing, and the original, this engine originally had low oil pressure. That's why the guy sold it. So I got it cheap. We put new cam bearings in it. And that'd be like absolute worst case, is that cam bearing is spun again inside the block, and then I'm screwed, gonna have to do something else. So that would be absolute worst case, like I said. But I looked at the oil is still like really good color and it doesn't really seem like anything's wrong with it. So just gonna run it. Doesn't sound weird, it's not making any noise or doing anything goofy, so I'm just gonna run it. But it is showing a little bit of oil pressure loss at basically at idle. When I'm driving, it's still fine, but like pull up to a stop sign, it'll start to flicker a little bit because it's a 30 psi switch. It's starting to flicker. So I think I'm gonna end it here, guys. Just had to do a little sit down chit chat ramble jamble session because I know you guys really love my face. My face right here. Have fun. See you guys tomorrow. Maybe not tomorrow. Someday.